Welcome to the Glac Studios oil painting tutorial. I'm Gomati Sivasankaran, and we are in this short tutorial that covers the basics of post-production related checklist or activities to be done when it comes to working on artworks like this that I have been showing and sharing with you in many tutorials. So I decided to do this set of small little courses that could be helpful for you to kickstart your idea, propel your idea to the level of taking it to the next step, that is, taking it to the business level. Or maybe you're already doing it and maybe you need a little more of guidance and such. So, this set of classes is for someone who is feeling a little more confident to take this business to the next level, take this artwork creativity to the next level. In the first lesson, we talked a lot about documentation. What is documentation? How do you document? And what is a manual documentation versus automated and such? And so many things related to it. Now, we will touch base on this documentation in this particular topic. This is a very important topic, segmentation and pricing. And this is always a gray area on how do you price your product and how do you price your artwork and such. This is $1 million question, and I am sure there are, a zillion videos already available on the net. People sharing their version of how to calculate and how do they price and such. And this is also my own version. And not meaning to say that this is the only version, that's the only right version or such. The thing that I look at is that maybe many of you already have looked into my profiles already or not. I happen to be an accounting and a finance professional, and I have lived through the life of projects and finance related activities. So I also think from those perspectives on how a pricing could be done and how things can be maintained and such. So uh, so it's a blend of this creative personality versus the structural personality that I tend to do. Maybe some of these methods are common that you might already know, and maybe not. So, keep a pen and paper with you to note down whatever you think fits into your requirement. Yes. And in today's video recording, I have also made sure that I am now in the office space and with my computer to show you all these things in metrics and what I do in the background as well. So what you see is actually my laptop screen. So we start with this concept of segmentation and then we move on to pricing. Segmentation, why is this an important deal for us artists? And how do we segment? Why segment? As artists, you would possibly be an expert in not just one type of paintings or artwork. There could be few other areas that you like to do and you want to sell them also differently to different customers that might be interested, isn't it? So there you go with the basic concept of segment. Basically, you are making pencil sketch, you are sculpting something, you are using clay to make something, and then you are making paintings. So these are definitely different segments. So there you go, easily 4 different segments. Good. So that's a very simple way to segment and say, yes, I make a pencil sketch and yes, I make a clay doll or something and so on. And also when we make something, are we selling the original product or a copy of a product? That's another segment, isn't it? We will come to that in a short while. So these things, are these originals or copies? And what type of segments do we have? The more clarity we give, the easier it is for us to reach people who are interested in that kind of product, and they might also be interested in knowing more of what exactly you are doing and maybe wanting to buy as well, isn't it? So that's one very simple way of segmentation. Another way of segmentation is that look at one particular artwork that you're doing and see if you can differentiate that artwork into many other variations. That's exactly what we talked about when you said prints. So there is an original artwork that you made, and that original artwork can also be printed. It can be printed on what? Printed on a t-shirt, printed on on a cup or a mug or some flask or something. Can that be printed on something? um, or just printing on a paper or a photo paper like a wallpaper and such. So there are so many aspects that you could build into by working on one. Another thing is that what I do, I think you would have seen me painting in front of camera. Why does one do that? So there are people who are uploading their videos of the work that they do fully on Patreon or some tutorial websites, or they themselves have their websites where you can see the content. So that content of what was being done in front of camera itself is a product, isn't it? So what is that product? It's a tutorial. So that is there. The photographs, the prints, the soft copies are now going into what is called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. I don't want to get into non-fungible tokens in today's episode. We want to just focus on pricing and segmentation. So yeah, so there is umpteen varieties. But as long as you're very clear on what you want to segment, how you want to segment, it's very easy to start off. I'll tell you why. If you are making a different type of product, then it means, okay, I'm going to work on a pencil sketch today. So I spend, let's say, 4 hours to make a pencil sketch. That is done. That's going for a sale. The value is different. Then I sit tomorrow with an oil paint. I spend maybe 10 hours. That's a different thing. So each and every segment you need to think of separately, use the products that you need separately and work on them. Move on to the next. Simple. But this is creating cross multiple products when you work on one product. So you need to really think ahead. This is when you make one product, you are making an original painting, you are having a camera so that the recording turns into a tutorial or some video content on one side. You're making it enough in such a manner that the quality of that output will be very good. And when you take a picture of it, the same can be used for a print, and that print can be printed in so many ways and such. So you have to think of in the start what kind of segments will one product of mine will take me to, and do I really want to go into that or not. So that's really about how to segment and types of product lines to create. One key question that I will ask myself when I want to create many product lines is that, is it easy for me to do it on my own without much of money involvement or resource involvement, or is it tough, or is it kind of easy and maybe I need support? That's also one thing. So that's a very important question I will ask before I want to get into segmentation. There is a benefit to segmentation because you are calling in every segment is a revenue stream. The key word is revenue stream. In accounting, we always talk about revenue streams, in expense streams, and so on. So each product line is a separate revenue stream. If there is a interest for your original product, and people who are buying original product are giving, they're creating revenue for you only through the original product. If somebody is only buying prints from you, then your revenue stream is print, isn't it? Prints are giving you money. So there are different revenue streams that you could create, but before you want to get into many revenue streams, find out if it is easy to do yourself. Do you need support? Otherwise, and if support, then the question comes, can you pay for that support? Like for example, print product lines, really beautiful, easy way to start off, trying to earn small little income and then gradually, incrementally increasing it, isn't it? But then, is that easy to print off? We will quickly see that in a short while. So, printing off will have its own costs. Print costs meaning you will have to give the money to print either to an agency, a company, a printing partner, or even a local printer that is close to you, your home, to print off and take that and also pack it and send it, isn't it? So there are so many things involved with it. With respect to my product lines, I am going to show you that. I have already made Ashtalakshmi product lines available on my website. I'm still working on certain things. So these pictures that you see can also be available as prints, and this is where I have made local prints myself. This is something I could do because when I started selling a little bit on the originals, I invested in a huge Canon A2 printer. And before that, when I wasn't having so many, print ideas or even requests at all, I was getting it printed by my local printer next to my home. That was exactly how I was doing. I wanted to get a printer for myself. One thing, because I was able to afford it at that time. Number two, I wanted to learn the process of printing and the challenges involved, because there was a lot of waste that happens with prints. For those who are considering this, I want to tell you that the colors aren't the same necessarily with each printer. Yeah, the color tonalities, how it will come out, what exactly have you created, can this print be perfect, is something that you learn along the line, printing off and making mistakes and such. Yeah, so I wanted to really learn, and the only way I could learn was to have a printer that is a professional, that can do a professional photo print, so I could learn from it. And I decided to just go for it. But having had this learning experience, I will definitely suggest that you do not go for such a thing. It is expensive. What you see behind me is not the printer. It's a huge one that is staying right beneath my table. So that's a huge printer. It's a huge one, taking up some space or in your office space, and also there is power involved. There is a lot of print ink involved and such. So wait on this. If you are not sure because you don't have enough customers, just wait on this. Try to get it printed through your nearby stores, whoever helps you with the photo prints and such. That's a good idea. Yeah, and with printing myself, there is also another thing that we need to learn how to work with some softwares also. I use something called GIMP. I'll show you what I did with my recent combination. So I also print in combinations. The Ashtalakshmi series, as you have seen, is 8 different paintings. So those 8 need to be recorded or put in a combination together. And to do that, I had to, use this software. This is a software that I use. It's called GIMP, GIMP, that you saw that loading onto my laptop. So this helps me, resize and adjust the colors and positioning and everything, and do my own combinations and test. Yeah, once it is done, once I have done work on this, then I save the file as PNG format, and then I test. Once I've tested and I feel it is a good one, I make some samples, get them ready, so somebody in the local, maybe that is nearby me, sees that and says, hey, I can buy this for you, and then they buy it from me. That's how I really begin to see, okay, this one works and that works and not. So it helps to have the printer at home, but there's a lot of work involved. Again, coming back to the point on whether it is easy or not, maybe not. Do you need support or not? That's another thing. Yeah, because it's an investment in time to understand how these things work. Why do I use GIMP? There is also Photoshop. Mm. Photoshop is a fantastic tool. Unfortunately, it's also a costlier tool. So I wanted to figure out an easier or a simpler alternative. And the next good thing that was available on the net that is possibly free as well was GIMP. And it is almost close to, in fact, people who have worked on Photoshop, when they saw my laptop, they also gave me this feedback. It's almost, the commands are also similar and such. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this, but it kind of helps you with the process of getting your artwork into a print format, into a high resolution image that is worthy for, taking it up into a print. Once that thing is done, then it is ready for you to print off. I have had good printing experiences and bad printing experience, many of them as well, with my own self using that printer. Plus, I have also taken the help of printing partners to try printing in different output mediums. Like printing on a simple wallpaper is something that I have tried. I've also tried printing for the purpose of putting certain things, not my pictures, paintings that I did, but even my company logo on such, getting it printed for the purpose of putting it on a car or such. And what is that? The logic is different, the ball game is different, the material is different, is used for an external use and such. So that is totally different than when it compares to printing it on a t-shirt or printing it on a bag or something. So I have experimented this to see what works and how does it work. And the good thing I did was to experiment with different print partners to see how much they charge and versus the quality that they give. Is it good enough or not? So all these things really kind of helped me. But I must say that it took a lot of time to do this. And I must say that I'm still in the learning process. So there are still things that I make mistakes and learn and so on. So again, to answer that single question, is it easy? The answer is no. And provided if you are, let's say that you are so much passionate about photography as well, along with creating, then I don't think it's a deviation for you. You will be happy learning all those techniques. Maybe already you're a master in that technique. Combining those knowledge platforms for you is a definitely a professional advantage, creative professional advantage. You must do it. But if you are not, in my case, I am not a photographer, then it's a lot of learning. It's a huge learning curve. So be mentally prepared for that. So with that, let's go into pricing. So you see that I have priced my print combinations, and I have priced the prints. And if you go into the originals, the same products are originals. The original itself is available, and I have priced. Okay, how did you arrive at the number? And this again, I'm telling you that I have done a calculation that is practical from my point of view, and I'm going to share that calculation with you. So, right now, I'm going to take you into my Excel world, and this is my home ground being a finance person. So I don't want to take you through all the product lines in the website. So I have downloaded whatever products I have created in my website into an Excel worksheet. So this is the original product line that you saw right now. The Attract Abundance series of 8 girls. The original price, it is, you saw that it is 5,000 DKK, and I say normal price is 4,000. I'll explain you the detailing. So that is the original pricing, and there is pricing for the prints that you saw, and for that there is many things that go behind, and I'm going to take you through that also. Again, so let's start with the prints. So for the prints, I have tested printed myself, but to be honest, I will not be able to practically print everything myself, and it is not a profitable idea both for you as a customer and for me. If we are in different countries and I'm having to print it, package it, and doing the export into your country, and then you have to pay the import duty as well. So the idea is that somebody prints near your home, which means you need to find a printing partner that has many printing services across the globe. And I have found a printing partner who will be able to print in 33 different countries. Again, testing involves 33 different countries as well. So that's not even an easy thing, even though we are getting into a printing partner relationship. That's another thing. We're still testing. So the testing is still on. For this series. But what we can do is that when you go into the printing partner's website, they will give you a catalog on how they price. What size of the image do you want? And whether you want it, for example, what I have chosen here, it's all going to be premium matte paper posters. And there are two different sizes I am going to offer. Mm, is it vertical, horizontal, and what is the centimeter or a inch size, depending upon where you are? Are you going to have a frame coming with it or without frame? If the frame is going to be there, will it be readily assembled and sent as a package to the customer, or will the customer have to assemble himself or herself? These things are adding on to the price or reducing the price depending upon the choices that you are taking. So you will have to do mentally the math of the kind of things that you want to offer, and say, okay, this is the thing I want to offer, and look at the price that they are quoting. On top of it, I think you will have to put in a little bit for profit. So in this particular case, the pricing is slightly easier because you have chosen a size, a type of paper, orientation, and the what do you call, whether it is a frame or not. So all these things, because they are professionals and they have been running this business, they can give you a quote on the price range. That helps you start your price range and then add or reduce things. If you want to put something like a discount offer or something, maybe you can, or increase the price a little bit or adjust things. Together, also check VAT, import duty, if that is applicable, what exactly it is, transportation charges, if they are mentioning. Check on everything and make sure that you are adding up and doing the math. In this math is slightly easier because a printing partner is there. Even if you are taking the help of a local printing partner, it is slightly easier because if you go to their shop and ask them, they will immediately share a pamphlet with you telling you this is the type of prints that we will make and this is the price. So they give you a price list. So there is something at least a to start with, to you have something to start with, and you can quote this and talk to your customer and say, see, this print costs this practically, and that's the whole point. So it's much more easier for you to start with the prints. I mean, even if you're getting it printed on a coffee mug or a t-shirt, then the cost of the coffee mug, isn't it, cost of the t-shirt, it's everything is involved. What type of t-shirt is it? Is it 100% cotton? Is it linen? What is that? Yeah. So all these things do matter, isn't it? What are you printing it on? That material, the product, and the packaging and everything. So most of it, the questions that you have in mind, they will have the answers because they are printing or producing in a bigger scale. Easy to take help from them, go along with them, and slightly work out your own profit range alongside. Yeah. How many percentage of profit you want to add? I think it's a very good question. At least, start with a 5 to 10% profit if you're very sure, not very sure, and slowly, increase the profit line margin according to, if you see that this is going very well, and then you can, after maybe you have increased a little more, you can give some slight discounts as well later, so that you can play around with. Those numbers will be slightly easier to play around with because you already have some guidelines coming from professional organizations. But for the ones that have been done by you physically, what will you do? So right now I have this picture of the painting here with me, and right behind this painting, I have been mentioning. I don't know if it is clearly visible here in the camera. I'm trying to bring it even more closer. Yes. So there are numbers I have written here. Those numbers are referring to the number of hours that I worked. I think I mentioned this in the previous lesson as well. This is my starting point, okay? So I know the number of hours I worked, and then, okay, I'm going to put a small little math for you. So let's say the number of hours worked. Okay, so let's put up the number of hours worked here. And in this case, I'm totally coming to about 15 hours or so, I think. 15 or 16, I don't remember. Let's check. We'll do the math. And I am putting up a amount that is based on this country where I live. What is the average that people, charge and for artworks and creative works and such when they are new beginners, and then slowly when they grow up, what you would charge and such. So I have been discussing. So this is a little bit of homework that you will have to do depending upon the country you are in and what kind of price ranges go by. Slight bit of homework to check on. A lot of people might tell you that they charge per millimeter of the space. So how big the canvas is, based on that per millimeter charge also applies. Per hour charge works in some countries. So this, but it's either this way or that way mostly. Yeah, mostly. So I'm using this and I'm putting 250. Yeah, and let's do the math here, multiplying these two. One amount, yes. And then cost of materials. And there is something called transport in. For me, I'll tell you what is transport in. Transport in. This is transport in. You can say that logistics in, whatever you want to say. These things are important for me to come to a cost. Yeah. What is transport in? So the canvas size, if it is very small, maybe you could just have been going around shopping and picked it up in your handbag and came. That is fine. Large canvases, how did they arrive? You might have, maybe it's not nearby your home or your studio. How did you bring it in? That cost, the petrol charges, the gas charges, and maybe you have ordered with someone, and they have in your invoice, they would have told you that the price of the product is X, but the transportation to your place is Y. So all these things are important. In my case, I wouldn't put this so much. I have put a zero because I'm practically, I have a very good, high quality canvas producer very close by, so it doesn't really cost me much. I'm lucky in that manner. Otherwise, I will definitely put this value as well. For me, the cost of materials, I have calculated whatever I have spent and I have added that up. Yes, that's added. So this is coming to 4,000, I think. Yes, these three come to 4,000. And that is the 4,000 that you see in the Excel worksheet. This is the 4,000 that you see in the Excel worksheet. But is this the amount that you're going to put up in the website? Maybe not, because there are few other things. Okay, what is the other thing? In my case, of course, not just in my case, most of the cases, there is something called VAT, value added tax. What is the tax percentage? That is actually 25 percentage in here. So I'm going to add up all these three for you, even though it's a zero. I'm just adding just for you to keep that in mind. If you are spending money on it, that's important. And then if we do this percentage, we will get an amount. That's the VAT. So adding that VAT, we come to the total price. Total selling price of the product. Selling price of the product. Okay. Happy? Are we done? No, not yet. This is an original piece. If you have to get it from me, I cannot just throw it around. So I'll have to pack this for you. It's in a safe packing. It's a sensitive material. You need to pack and also transport this. So there is packing charges, transportation, and transportation out. Transport out. This is what I call transport out. So out to who? Customer. And that depends on where the customer is. These are things, okay, maybe packing charges, maybe you can figure out because you have done it many times. You know how to safely pack it and how much it will cost for you and such. So you can maybe put it, let's say, I know the cost of this packing will go to 100 because I buy certain things in bulk and I don't have to, spend a lot of money in that. So everything put together, I think this is fair enough. Good. Transport out will definitely depend upon where exactly my customer is or if there is any other duty, import export duty involved. I will put a question mark here. Why? And this is also a question mark because we do not know yet, isn't it? So these will be open items that will be discussed when you're selling the original, making sure that you are not underpaid. Import export duty, I think it will also depend upon country to country how much, because there are certain amounts up to which when you are sending something or receiving something, it is not attracting the duty, and that limit depends on country to country. Like, for example, in Denmark, if I am exporting something that is this cost 5,000, it is not going to attract any duty. Anything above 10,000 DKK will attract duty. This is according to the recent, charges. Again, these things, if they are changing in any country, they must be, aware. We must be aware of it, or we must check before we are making the discussion. So it is a very good point when somebody is interested in buying your original, that you have a short call to discuss all these elements so that they are also prepared and figure out how to charge them totally. Yeah, so these duties are there: packing, transport, export duty, and also definitely the charges, postal charges or delivery charges. So all these things will fall in. Mm. And you might ask me, where is the profit? What I have done is that when I calculated the per hour rate, I introduced the profit there itself. Yeah. So that is one structure. You can also, it is difficult for me to figure out. I want a standard kind of profit, so I decided to put it there. So it's even, spreading equally. Otherwise, you take your own decision on where exactly you want to add your profit, or after you finished, and maybe change the profit lines or not. For me, I just want a standard number, so I just put it a standard around. That's it. So I don't want to charge one customer more than the other and such. So in a way, keeping it the same, at least for these kind of productions. Maybe for a private art commission where you have a thorough personal discussion with your customer, and there is a specific need and you figure out what exactly is the charge, and that is maybe, the kind of effort that is involved is even higher and you want to charge more or less. That will be an exception, I would say, at least from the world that I am in right now. Yeah. So these charges are the basics that we'll have to keep in mind to discuss the final rate of your product. Artwork, yes. And we are talking about canvases. It could be, products that are even sensitive, like, for example, clay or, wooden sculptures, huge pieces that you might be working on. So depending upon what kind of product that you are selling, there is a weight involved, and with the weight, the charges will definitely increase. That we need to be, because for a canvas, the weight is not, it's usually lighter. This one is definitely less than a kilo, and even after packing, I think it will only, when I do a double packing, a lot of things, maybe I can push it up to 1 point something, 1.2 kilos or something maximum. I'm sure of that because of packing for a while now. Yeah. But the products that you produce, if they are really sensitive and if they are heavy by themselves, then you should be very well prepared that for the weight, there will be charges, transportation charges. And for the fragility, it's called fragility, isn't it? There will be additional charges too, so that it's packed in a separate way, and so on, and taken care of. So all these things fall into the place when it comes to pricing. So I'm just checking cost of materials, the transport in, and the production itself is what the number of hours work. If that is the production cost, yeah. And then your profit, I included in the production cost. In my case, you could do it differently, and then the VAT and packing, delivery, yeah, transport out. Is transport out postal charges the same? Yes. It could be the same, but not necessarily the same. For example, let's say that for a particular type of item, the post itself in the country tells you to go and deliver it in X location. So you take your car or you take your whatever, to put your art piece there safely and drive around. That's your transport out. And then after it reaches the post, we call it post house, post house today here, maybe the postal department, wherever, they charge you the charges for taking it from that space to the customer's place. That could be different. It could be the same. It could be different depending upon what exactly you're doing with it. From the minute it moves out of your door, your studio, or your home, is it moving two ways or just one way through a postal department? So that could change as well. I think I have extensively covered on this section on the segmentation and pricing. In case you feel I have missed out something, please do put up in the comments or write to me at support@theglastudio.dk, and I will try to respond to it. Just to summarize, so we talked about segmentation, how to segment, if at all should we segment. The question will be whether is it easy to make those different types of things. Will it help you in the process or not? Or is it not so difficult, not so easy, in between, that you need support? If at all you need support, what kind of support it is? Will you have to spend more resource or money on that? Printing product lines, we looked at it, and how beneficial is segmentation. We looked into that as well. For pricing, when we talked about prints product lines, I gave you an idea that the red thread we could go with or to take help from will be the printing partners themselves, because they will have a well developed price list to go with. That could be a good starting point. And when you are having to price yourself because you have produced a product that's original all by yourself, then we did a small workout here on an Excel sheet. Yes. So this is something that I try to make as simple as possible, I hope. It is a tricky area. Having said all that, it's a tricky area. You will have to experiment a little bit, but this is something that you are taking this as a first step to entering into the business. If you are someone who is new to this, then I would say congratulations on entering into this brave area. You are taking it to the next level. So, hey, there is no perfect way to go about it. We will be making mistakes. Yes, if we have made mistakes, we are going to say sorry and learn from the experiences, move on with it. Yes, isn't it? Yes. Thank you very much. Let's meet up in the next session on post production. Bye bye.